Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Rick and Morty Juricksic Mort. I think I pronounced that correctly. And I thought this was a pretty decent episode. Granted, we did learn at the end that we're going to have to wait until November for the last 4 episodes of the season, so that was kind of a bummer. But overall, I enjoyed most of what was going on in this episode. I wish that they had put more into it. We get some Marvel jokes that we keep seeing to pop up, and I don't mind those as long as they just fit more within the realm of what's kind of going on. And I think if you're doing an episode like that deals with dinosaurs, and they do some Jurassic Park references and all that, but if you're doing that, focus more on those and try and go for them as far as possible. So we open up and we see that Morty needs someone to take him to school. His mom and dad are indisposed, so he pretty much gets Rick to do it. And he kind of asks Rick about the status of fixing the portal gun, and then he's pretty much making the point that if you keep asking me, I'll make it take even longer just to fucking spite your ass. Morty gets into his classroom, and the teacher's like, "Oh shit, he's here, fucking duck and cover." He's like, "You don't have to act like this every time." And the teacher then starts listing all of the horrible shit that has pretty much occurred because of the vicinity of getting as close to Morty because of Rick and all the insanity that ensues. And then, of course, things start shaking and everything, and we learn that dinosaurs have popped back up on Earth, and that they were coming to kind of see what was happening on Earth. And they're like, ah, shit. And they're super technologically advanced, they're super smart and everything. They pretty much go to the UN. Seeing the United World leaders trying to be yeah, it's like, hey, where are our dinosaur brethren? It's like, they dead. It's like, yeah, but they'd usually leave something behind, as you see them try to dance around the whole fact of yeah, we use them to power fucking vehicles and all kinds of other various shit. And it's like, yeah, okay. And they're pretty much hitting on humanity for yeah, but I mean, you could be doing so much better, between Marvel movies and Amazon Prime, and then this is where the kind of Marvel stuff pops in. I don't mind them making fun of Marvel movies. There's a lot of shit that you could go on for. It's just I wanted it to be worked in more organically. The beginning of the season with them pretty much dying kind of similarly to Tony in Endgame being yeah, we're running out of shit before they kind of get saved by someone. That fit. This one was just okay, you could have worked that in a little bit more organically, as the dinosaurs then pretty much alright, yeah, we'll just take over this shit, you don't have to do anything, and then they pretty much make it into a utopia where nobody has to work. Food's available everywhere, and we see that it's Jerry's time. He brings out this book. It's that he's been writing forever, and it becomes a big thing. And the dinosaurs even use it, but they don't credit it to Jerry, and Jerry's fucking pissed about that. But we see that not everybody is liking not having anything to do, because they then have to fill their own times themselves, and yeah, that starts to create problems. So the president pretty much tries to get Rick to do this kind of stuff. He's like, yeah, I have more in common with the dinosaurs than I have with your ass. So they're pretty much at this rib joint thing that fucking Rick has a Westworld fucking dude walking around that's a robot and everything, and Rick's whole thing is to host the Oscars. So he's like, alright, cool, and he tries to pretty much figure out what's kind of going on with the dinosaurs, just wants them to pretty much leave, but they start hitting him. They're like, hey, we have a better portal gun. It's he's trying to get him to go to other dimensions. Yeah, we're usually more one dimension, one truth kind of thing, but hey, here's a portal, you can actually see what's going on. It's a better portal gun than Rick's, and it pisses him off. He's like, fuck this shit, and they pretty much get teleported by the dinosaurs to just leave, because they're fuck you guys, because they're also having kind of a service. It's sorry guys, other dinosaurs, at least you won't be in an SUV now or whatnot. And Rick's they have their douchiness all over this portal gun, destroys it, and he's like, alright then, come on Morty, we're gonna go. He was able to pretty much scan this kind of brochure thing and figure out all the planets that they had gotten to. So we then get this kind of little montage where they go to all the different planets, and we see that all the dinosaurs, strangely enough, that were left there died due to some kind of giant rock impact and an asteroid impact or whatnot. And it's like, huh, that's kind of weird. And then you see various different cultures trying to figure out what the dinosaurs were like. Some as skull feet, some as like a basket kind of thing, some as skateboarders, which comes back into it at the end. And the dinosaurs are pretty much trying to like give a TED talk pretty much to the world population, try to calm them down and everything from those that want to do some kind of stuff, but just do their kind of stuff to like spread their knowledge and all that. Rick then pops up and pretty much like, equal and opposite reaction and everything. As the dinosaurs evolved up to their kind of peak kind of godhood thing, there's another one that evolved along a similar but negative axis where you've got sentient rocks that fucking fling themselves at the dinosaurs to destroy them just for reasons. And then one is coming towards Earth, and the dinosaurs are like, oh, okay. So they decide to go to Mars and sacrifice themselves to stop it because they don't want to do violence on the rock and everything like that. And the thing is, Rick's won everything. We then see that everything goes back to business as usual, which is just all this kind of horrible shit going on. But Rick's doing his stuff at the Oscars. We get Tom Hanks shouting Wilson and everything. And then he sees that the dinosaurs are getting ready to kill themselves. Well, not kill themselves, but let themselves be killed by the sentient, pissed off rock. And this doesn't sit well with Rick for some reason. He's like, fuckers. So he goes, pretty much tries to save him, pretty much pisses him off to such a degree that the one T-Rex dinosaur blasts at the rock. And it's like, oh, okay, you got us to be saved. And he's doing it for selfish reasons. And it's interesting that Rick is still able to do a good and technically kind of right thing for the wrong kind of reasons. It's interesting to see that evolution of his character, of him usually trying to do the best thing for himself, hopping to different universes, pretty much containing the universes to protect his kind of godhood with all the different Ricks and Mortys and keeping control over things. Whereas in this case, he's like, fuck it, damn it, I've got more in common with these assholes, and he just fucking pisses them off, and it's such a degree that they do that. And they're like, oh yeah, since you helped us, let's help you. And they like fix the kind of gash thing, the tear in the fabric of reality that he was able to kind of get back to this dimension for. It's like, fuck, that could have been a couple seasons and everything. And it's like, yeah, fuck you, man. As they then blast off, and at the end case scenario, we see that they find this kind of planet to kind of just chill on, and they just start shredding and shit. Rick then gets back in, and we see that everything's back to normal. We did get a kind of funny joke where Summer's whole kind of like social media kind of thing. She's like, "Where did I lose all my followers?" It's like, yeah, they kicked off all the pedophiles off of TikTok and everything. And then at the end, she's pretty much, "Oh, I got a new follower. It's like some crypto bro dude." It's like, yep. Jerry's trying to write his novel and everything. Beth had a kind of crisis because she didn't have to do anything to like help horses. And she's like, fuck this shit. But now she's kind of like back in her own groove and all that. And then we see this explosion, and we see that Rick has fixed the portal gun, and he's shooting it everywhere and everything. He's fucking throwing Morty through all these portals, having him throw up and like blast around. He's like, yeah, we're back to normal, baby. And I actually enjoyed that kind of bit of like, okay, that makes sense to get back to kind of the usual kind of status quo we've been used to for Rick and Morty, in that kind of way where Rick was shown a better portal gun. He's like, I'm going to fix my portal gun. It's going to be my fucking shit. It's going to fucking be awesome. And it's like, yeah, back Rick and Morty adventures, woo! As we then end out and then get the dinosaurs kind of bit at the end. So, I don't mind that we got back to status quo when we got Rick to have his portal gun back, because the journey to get there at least worked out well enough, and we got interesting kind of character stuff going on. I just wish that some of the jokes had been kind of better executed or better interwoven into what was going on, and you could have done a lot more kind of crazy and weird dino jokes here. And it's just like, it wasn't the worst, but I'm like, I've seen Rick and Morty when it's firing at like all kind of cylinders, and they could have done some really kind of cool stuff, and it's just like, okay, it's still a good, enjoyable episode that I like, and I can't wait to see how they kind of go going forward, because we might have the portal gun back into play and what that could kind of mean and entail, but what that's going to show us in the last 4 episodes and what kind of stories and endpoint we will get for the season is the interesting part that I will kind of want to see. Because I've actually thought that this has been a pretty even season so far, in that, sure, I might not be laughing at everything, but I think it's been really good and consistent with showcasing characters and doing the character kind of stories and kind of getting it as personally focused as possible without doing the insane situation that, like, escalates to such a crazy-ass degree. I don't mind those situations, and I love seeing them when they're used as the kind of peak points. Whereas this has been the more kind of gentle, kind of usual kind of wave where you're like, okay, let's kind of slow this down, see how our characters are, kind of dig into who they are, see any kind of, like, depths we can get to, see if Rick actually kind of is kind of improving, if Morty's kind of improving, how Summer and Beth and Jerry are doing their kind of stuff and putting them into different kind of situations where, since Rick can't use his portal gun, how are they going to get out of this situation? And now that we've got the portal gun back into play, there are certain instances that Jake could do that it still might not be helpful, and they have to figure out other ways to deal with their problems rather than just portaling off to another dimension or whatnot. So we'll see how that works. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.